David Sullivan here on the road to the Microsoft Health and Life Sciences Developer Conference 2008. And today, through the miracle of live meeting technology, I'm talking with Karthik Ravindran. Karthik, how are you doing today?
Very good, David. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. The reason I'm talking to Karthik is going to be one of our presenters at the DevCon. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And you're going to be talking about what?
Right. So I'm specifically going to be talking about the notion of people-ready business solutions and Microsoft's strategy and vision for enabling developers to build such solutions using the Office system. And I'm also going to be talking about some architectural patterns and practices that could be adopted to materialize such solutions in a composite fashion.
Excellent. And for those of us watching who aren't familiar with what OBA is, I know Microsoft is great for acronyms. OBA stands for Office Business Applications, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So we're really looking at Office as sort of moving away from the suite of tools that everyone has used for word processing and spreadsheets. They can still do that, of course, but to really becoming a platform for business applications.
Right. And there are sort of a couple of interesting elements to explore in relation to that. So if you sort of go into slide 2 in the deck, one of the key things is that through a lot of interactions with our customers and with our partners who build solutions for our customers, we've sort of learned that there is today a significant gap between the way business users and information workers tend to function when utilizing business applications and in relation to the actual attributes and capabilities that those business applications themselves enable. So the classic line of business systems, which include ERP systems and CRM systems and also custom homegrown line of business systems, which enterprises tend to build and deploy, have certain attributes which are very key to capture the core backbone processes and data of the business. But these attributes don't really align very well with the way in which business users and information workers wish to be able to interact with these systems. So if you look at the slide, there are some pretty stark differences in terms of the attributes that these systems expose and the capabilities that users expect when working with such solutions. And what we've sort of seen here is an opportunity for us to evolve the Office system to a level where the Office system, which is a very well-known business productivity application suite today, could serve as a front-end interface for these line of business back-end systems, which could be either ERP applications or CRM applications or even homegrown custom line of business applications, and can create a more user-friendly and unstructured environment for these information workers to be able to access and work with their data and processes.
You know, Karthik, I see this all the time. You're absolutely right. There's so much valuable information that's not stored in a structured manner in the database, that's in documents all over the organization that people are working on together. So I really think you're hitting on a sweet spot here.
Right. And I mean, another common example which many people will be able to resonate with is that many ERP applications which implement these proprietary user interfaces and screens that users use to work with the system expose capabilities that enable users to go in and do things like export the data to Excel or export some data to Word. You know, and very often users do that, and then they go in there and they work with the data information in an unstructured fashion. And then the processes that are required to get the data back into the line of business system is once again a manual process. So really what we're trying to get here is like, how can we make that whole end-to-end process between connecting to a line of business system and being able to explore and work with the data and processes more seamless by not requiring users to necessarily export data from these systems into tools that they are familiar with, but rather to enable these users to be able to directly interface with those line of business systems, directly using the tools that they want to work with them. You know, so being able to use productivity applications like Outlook and Excel and Word to be able to directly access the business data and processes. And more importantly, to be able to bridge the gap between the structured and the unstructured worlds, you know, where the flow of information and data between these tools and the backend systems is all seamlessly managed and federated by the solutions that are built using the capabilities provided by the platform.
So this use of Office no longer simply is a productivity tool for doing individual tasks, but sort of making it a familiar tool that users use every day to be able to get to this structured data is really what we mean when we talk about Office as a business application platform.
Right, right. And there are two key components to this. In fact, if you go on to the next slide in the deck, where taking our strategy one step further, we are also heavily betting on and positioning software plus services as a strategy to enable people to be able to build out these types of people-ready business solutions. And really the Office system as a whole is not just the Office clients, but now we also have the core offering in the form of Microsoft SharePoint Server, which enables a whole slew of people-ready business services that can be integrated with the rich user experiences enabled by the business clients, such as Outlook, Excel, and Word, to create these kinds of compelling people-ready business solutions. So when you look at the Office system, you should really think of it as you've got the Office business productivity clients, but you also have SharePoint, which provides you a set of people-ready services which help bridge the gap between those unstructured line of business systems and between the structured line of business systems and the unstructured user experiences that users wish to have. So examples of people-ready services include business intelligence capabilities, enterprise search capabilities, unified collaboration and communication capabilities, enterprise content management capabilities, and the other items that you see listed on the people-ready services box.
So this is fascinating to me because I hear a lot of people and my customers when I go out and talk to them who really don't understand what we mean by software plus services, that it's sort of something that we invented and only applies to Microsoft technology. But here I think you're showing us that software plus services, the services on the back end for these structured systems enable us to use Office as a front end that connects to any system, but the software that Office provides that rich, familiar user experience. And this is something that specifically we can use to have Office talk to things that are not built on Microsoft.
Right. So I think the key takeaway here is you do have those structured services, and then you've got the rich user experiences on the client, right? But then there's the bridge layer, which is fundamentally required to enable those unstructured experiences.
Absolutely.
So that's where SharePoint comes in as a middle tier server into which any backend line of business system, it could be an SAP system, it could be a dynamic system, it could even be a custom line of business system, could be plugged in. And then the structured metadata and processes from those systems could be bridged into the unstructured services enabled by SharePoint, which in turn can then be surfaced through user experiences in the Office clients. And what the composition toolkit really helps do is it helps provide a metadata catalog where these individual OBA components can be registered and described. And the descriptions are not just like identification type of metadata, but they also include semantic relationships between these components and how these components connect up to specific line of business systems in an enterprise. And it's pretty much the entire IT federation and security metadata governing who should be able to access the components and the relationships between components. So all those semantics are captured and stored in this component metadata. And then this metadata catalog itself can be accessed by a tool that I'll be demonstrating called the OBA Composer, which is a rich client WPF app that will help an information worker explore the catalog of components, traverse relationships between components, and compose Office business applications.
So this is where you're talking about the component level reuse.
Right.
And more than just the user interface, but also all tiers of the system.
Right, all tiers of the system, exactly. So the kind of OBAs that they will be able to build can include presentation artifacts like Office add-ins and SharePoint web parts, but they can also include application services like workflows and business intelligence reports, PDC application definitions, SharePoint document libraries to collaborate over unstructured content, document templates. They pretty much bring together the nuts and bolts of both the structured and the unstructured objects that need to be composed to create information worker solutions. And they do it in a very IW-friendly manner through the user interface that is exposed by the OBA Composer. But also very important is the fact that the entire user experience, as you'll see in the demonstration, is also prescriptively secure all the way through. This implies that any admin-defined security permissions in the component catalog will be seamlessly reflected in the user experience in the Composer. So for instance, if a user has permissions to browse or view what a component can do but does not have the permissions to use the component to build an actual OBA, that will be reflected in the end user experience. So the user will be able to see the component in the search results. He'll be able to pull up a little video and see what that component can do, but he'll not be able to add that component and build an OBA using it.